Don't lean that way when you answer a question. Don't go like that. You fall off the camera edge.
Is this better?
So
I feel like you're like Zach Galifianakis in like The Hangover right now.
Is this better?
It's like one of those poses.
Yeah.
So uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Welcome to the Marketing Team of One podcast, where we have conversations about the issues one-person marketing teams face when trying to meet their goals with limited time and budgets. Now here's your hosts, Eric and Mike. We're going to try something different today. We have solicited the audience for some questions, and they seem to be fitting into three buckets. They are in the design bucket, they are in the strategy bucket, and they are in the messaging bucket. Mm-hmm. And so what we've done is collected these questions, and each of us is going to, Mike, you're going to take on strategy.
You could try.
I'm going to take on design questions. And Jill, you're going to take on messaging questions.
Yes.
How does that sound?
Let's do it.
All right, let's get into it.
Let's roll up our sleeves. Get into
I
it.
thought you were just going to say
do
sleeve. Just roll up the one.
Yeah, that would be really good. I'm going to roll up my sleeve and get into it.
Just one sleeve.
Just one.
Yeah.
Whoa, look at that. Gun show. All right.
Still that hockey.
Yep.
Many of you will recognize the magic hat. We have prepared the questions, and we're going to let Jill reach in, pull one out.
All right. Okay. My IT/tech support company has a lot of local competition. How can we stand out from the crowd? I think this is a strategy question. So I'm gonna let's see, Mike. Let's see you take this on.
All right. I think everybody needs an IT provider of some sort. They need help somewhere, right? But you're competing against maybe some nephews, a lot of nephews out there, right?
Yeah.
But I think that looking at who your existing customers are and see if there's any patterns there might be a good first step to help you on your kind of differentiation journey is what I think.
First thing we want to differentiate.
I think they're asking, right? How can we stand out from the crowd?
Yeah.
Right. So I see that as a differentiation thing, right? Like, they're all kind of solving the same problem for the most part, right? Mm-hmm. I've got a computer that I want to have run smoothly, and I need to know who to call when things don't work smoothly. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff in there, but like, I don't know that you can alone differentiate by talking about the problem you solve, because ideally if all of them are doing their job, they're going to talk about how they help people with their computer issues, right?
Right.
So then we just got to figure out what are other points of differentiation that we could work on through. So it could be focusing on your marketing efforts on a specific industry is what I'm thinking, right? So so if you're doing mostly like, I don't know, like I'm trying to think of an industry, local industry where there'd be a lot of maybe computers, dentist office. Mm-hmm. Let's say dentist office, right? Nice. They need a lot of, they've got a lot of computers that are running through things, and you make sure that they're running smoothly and everything. You could say that we're an local IT provider for dentists in the area or something like that. That would be one way to differentiate from the more general.
Niche down into a specific industry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That would be one way. I think, or just trying to get a little bit more bold, or this would be more of like a branding exercise, I think, a little bit, but like find a way to say what you do in a much different way. Mm-hmm. And that would be kind of a messaging thing, right? Yeah. Like how would you, I don't know, I'll throw it to you. Like, you're non-differentiated in what you're delivering to everybody. How would you do it from a messaging point of view to really make them stand out?
So much of strategy and messaging go together. They are so tightly knit together. So I would say that, like, okay, what problem are you seeing so often? And that's the one that you solve all the time, and you can solve that like in seconds.
Yeah.
Or it's just super easy for you to deliver this thing. you solve that problem. You frame your messaging focusing on the problem that you're solving.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you can solve one specific problem or solve that one specific problem even better for a very specific niche, then you have a super clear message that people can really get behind. And you're saying, okay, I solve, I'm thinking of a software. I solve scheduling software issues for dentists and IT, or, dentists.
Mm-hmm.
I think that obviously we're not IT people for dentist office. So I don't know what software you're using. But if you can really focus on making sure that, I keep your computers up to date for dentist office, like that's a very specific audience that you're serving, and everybody knows a dentist.
Mm-hmm.
And so even if I am not a dentist, I know who to send you to.
Yeah.
So yeah, I also think that it's your offer, like being able to talk about your offer and offer building for a specific audience. So knowing what it is you're selling and feeling confident to sell that one thing over and over and over again. Which
so
again is
being less than like, hey, we help with all your computer issues.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's not necessarily a compelling offer to everybody. Right. So, but if you could say, hey, we have a program where we come in once a month and make sure that everything's running smoothly.
Yep.
And if there are any problems, we'll come out and fix them within this time frame. There you're making a little bit more something people get behind and like, oh, that's way better. I don't have to think too hard about, they can help me with all my computer issues.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that there's also a way that you can angle your language a little bit more to make it appropriate for that specific niche as well. So you speak in terms of the problems that those specific, we'll call it dentists for this opportunity, speak to them. What's the problem that they have? And then all of your copy should follow suit with, do you miss a lot of appointments, or do your customers, forget their appointments because you don't have the right reminder system built into your computer? Or, speak in terms of like, what is the biggest problem they have with that issue? That's very specific. And then, speak to that instead of, we have 59 different options for you to choose from. It's more like, no, we fixed this problem with this specific solution.
Yeah. We build and maintain HIPAA compliant appointment reminder systems for dental offices.
Most of your customers are dentist things, like lean into that, right?
Yeah.
But I'm thinking like if you're like a local IT provider where you're just like, you're providing, Windows machines to people and keeping them up to date and everything like that, you might have a much broader industry. It might not be truly clear, and probably for the health of your business. Most of those are regional players, right? They have to be able to drive to fit in things, right? Like how would we stand out? How could you stand out from the crowd there when what you're delivering isn't differentiated?
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm thinking of different ways to, different attitudes. Like think about a different attitude. Does it emanate from your culture and the people that you are? Like, are you more irreverent, or are you more kind of sassy? Can you put that into your? That's where I think some of it comes messaging, right? Like if you can like maybe find your tribe of people that
love you for these specific reasons.
Yeah. And so it's less about the service or offer you're providing, but I think those are super important. I don't want to diminish that. Like I think having those offerings and making it super clear for people. But I'm assuming in that space, there's a lot of overlap in what everybody would do for you, right? Yeah. So how do you stand out from there? I mean, I don't know. I'd love both of your thoughts on that, because I think part of it's just a branding exercise, like coming up with a way to stand out.
I have an idea, but Eric, I don't want to.
I want you to go. Then.
Okay.
Do it.
I would say if you have reviews on your Google, on like Google My Business, look first at those reviews. Are there commonalities? Look at your competition's Google reviews. Are there things that they're consistently doing poorly that you're doing really well? And then really planting your flag in that space of like, oh, my competition cannot deliver on time. They cannot be at a location on time. Okay, then I will always be on time.
That's
and that's where I plant my flag.
Yeah.
Because you may do just as good of a job as everyone else, and you don't necessarily want to say, paint someone as a villain if they're doing a fine job. They just cannot for the life of them show up on time. Okay. I know that I can do that. I'm a one-person shop, or, you have a small team that you can really, as an IT tech support, like you have a small team that you can really hammer home that, hey, your team has to be on time. This is a core value. And that kind of goes into a whole other core values conversation. But I think first place that you can start, look at your competitors, Google My Business reviews, and see what they're not doing well that you can for darn sure deliver on.
I love that, because it doesn't take a lot to go researching that.
Yeah.
Everybody can go do that. Doesn't matter the scale of business or anything. I mean, you can be a solopreneur.
Especially when you're local. Like, who the other players are in the space. Like, that. That's not hard that's super low hanging fruit.
Yeah, I love that. I can't beat that. I don't have anything else to add to that. Let's do another question.
Okay, great.
Cool.
Do we want Jill to choose, or do we want Mike?
I think it was Mike's question. So
Mike's question. He gets to answer this.
All right.
Come on, design question.
All right. What we do is kind of boring, honestly. How do I write like it matters when it's something like an association for plumbers?
Is it like an association for plumbers, or is it association for plumbers? That's what I want to
know. Well, I guess for our purposes here, let's assume it is. It's an a trade association for plumbers.
Okay. I love it. Honestly, I don't think that's boring. No. I
mean, there's a lot of drama around plumbing.
There's so much drama.
I'm just saying, like, when things go wrong,
yes,
that's not like just like, oh, we'll get around to it. Like, there's urgency. There's emergency. It's scary.
Yeah.
But it's an association, right? Like they're there to fight for the plumbers.
Yeah.
Of the world.
And their needs.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So I could see it being boring.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also want to preface this by saying, I think that a lot of people who have been in the business for a really long time think what they do is boring. I think that they get into this rut of thinking that, like, I'd say the same thing over and over. Nobody wants to hear this. It's genuinely really boring. When that's, I think, not true. And I'd love to just throw that out there. What you do is only boring if you present it in a way that's boring. And I think that is what you're getting at, is that I think that what I'm writing about is boring. Maybe it is. Maybe the way you're writing about it is boring, but also maybe it's the fact that you're writing about it over and over and over again, or you're talking about it over and over and over again, and it's boring to you. That doesn't mean that it's boring to everyone else. Kind of going back to our last conversation.
I hope you to read it.
Going back to our last conversation, this is a core values conversation. It's if what you're asking is, how do I bring personality? How do I bring conviction into it? I think it's really about, like, defining, again, where are you putting your stake in the ground? Where does it matter? And where do you feel the most convicted in your work? How is this important? And if you think that it's not important, then it won't be important. So genuinely writing about it from an aspect of, we are really passionate about fighting for the rights of plumbers, because one, it's an industry that's not going to be taken over by AI. Like that, we know that that's not going to happen, at least anytime soon. You're not going to have a robot doing your plumbing anytime soon. This is a people first industry. And so that alone, while it may feel boring, it is so important. And so being able to talk about it in a way that you can bring your conviction to the forefront and say, no, this matters because it really matters. Like, the stakes are super high for plumbing. And so caring for the professionals that do this work is important. And so I think it's a matter of finding your core values, finding the angle that makes you really fired up about something and about what you do. And so maybe it's a conversation of like, okay, why do you do what you do?
Mm-hmm.
What does what you do matter? And what are the stakes what's at stake if you don't do this thing?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that will kind of reinvigorate your passion for like writing about what you do and saying, this is really boring. We just do X, Y, Z.
Well, I think there's a piece like the people first thing that you brought up is really important because that is also probably a part of an association, is to bring people together that do the same things, teach them, educate them on new policies or new, technologies, or, you can be one of those, we're leading the charge on teaching you all the things that are most important about being a plumber. And so you can take the kind of the cutting edge approach to things. You can take hey, we're learning and having fun together and networking and getting to know each other and helping each other. Hey, I can't do this, but I'm going to refer you, like referral network stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different dynamics that play into associations that when you talk about the people first element, there's a lot of different cool things that you could bring in so much more excitement around that, like you said, AI is not taking over.
Yeah.
Robots are not in charge of it. And so there's a lot more fun things that you can bring into it.
Yeah. So first things first, don't think what you do is boring.
Yep. You're too close to it.
You're too close to it. If
Way
you think
too close to it.
Yeah.
Well, we see that all the time with all kinds of different industries.
Yeah.
You have people, and it seems like the people that spend the most amount of time like doing research or science or something around topics, they are so like on the other side of it, they love what they do and everything, but it's hard for them to even communicate just to regular people their messaging and why it's so great, because they go immediately into the technical side of it and acronyms and this and that, and then nobody
acronyms.
Yeah, nobody can.
Okay, if you're using acronyms, then for sure you're boring. So sorry.
Wow, that's a bold take
statement
right there.
Wow.
Acronyms are boring.
Just on their face.
Wow.
Acronyms are boring AF.
Nice. So that's one acronym that's good.
That's not
That's
people
not-
order our patties
From SpongeBob.
from SpongeBob.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't hear that one used too often.
No.
Couldn't acronyms be a fun messaging trick if you're looking at your brand to like incorporate and add some, like, to be a little more irreverent and everything?
Oh, to actually use it as a device to bring in a little bit more personality.
Yeah, like I'm thinking of like billboards or something like that where you're trying to capture people's attention and you're going to, like I'm thinking text acronyms and stuff like that.
Okay. Maybe.
I'm trying to creak open your policy a little bit to make sure that there is room for a little bit of acronyms.
I think about, my husband works in healthcare compliance, and there are so many acronyms in healthcare and so many acronyms in healthcare that mean the same thing. Like two of the same acronyms that mean totally different things.
Interesting.
Oh, that's nice.
That is wild. And so I did plant my flag in the fact that, like, if one department is talking about one acronym and another department is talking about the same acronym, but they could mean two different things. Acronyms are dumb. Nobody knows what you're talking about. So in a verbal way, I think acronyms are dumb. Maybe I could see them working.
No, but that's a good point. Like if you're more in a space where you're educating people on things, that acronyms are a bad thing because you're assuming that they have the knowledge you do. You're too close to it.
Yes.
And that's a bad thing.
Yes.
So, okay. Yeah. I'm coming around.
Yeah. All right. I think we answered that one.
I like the throwing. Very dramatic, and it'll look good on film.
I hope so. I was really aiming for the camera, but I don't.
Okay, well now it's my turn. I have to. So you have to hold the hat so I can choose. I mean, I don't want to, You don't
want to rustle around in there?
I don't want to mess around. Okay, I'm going to pick this one here. I own a bookkeeping company and we have never done any kind of marketing before, but we want to grow. Where should we start in our marketing journey?
Ooh. That sounds like a Mike question.
It does. It sounds like a strategy.
I don't have a great answer. I can't say do this X or Y or something like that. But I think you have to look at what you've done. What if you've been around a long time? What's obviously something's working, right? Like what can you leverage? What can you lean into a little bit more and start there, right? Like I think if you want to grow, you really have to figure out ways to get more customers in. And okay, how do we do that? We talked a little bit earlier about having an offer, right? I think in a bookkeeping side of things, right, there are things that are like, if you're really close to it, like you probably are, you just kind of think, oh, here's the things we do and everything. But if you can take those mundane things and package them up in a way to people, you might be able to clear up some of the gaps in people's understanding of what happens or what they're getting for their money. So I think having some kind of offer, packaging up a clear way of, and it could be all the stuff that you already do, right? Mm-hmm. If you could figure out a way to package it up and then sell it more as like a package price instead of like, I'm assuming a lot of these services are more hourly. They're charged by the hour. Instead, if you can do it as a fixed price, and you might be able to create a little bit more room in the way of profit to fund other things, right? So that profit could then free up other activities that you could do marketing wise to do more outreach, so to speak, I think. So I think if I were to start, I would look at your product offerings and how you mention it to everybody. And then what I think I would do is look at, okay, how do we get business now? I'm assuming if you haven't been doing a lot of marketing, like a lot of other companies out there, you're probably on referrals most of the time, right? Mm-hmm. People are referring you like, oh yeah, so-and-so does it for me. They'd be great for you, right? Mm-hmm. So if you could figure out a way to, and this isn't so much like marketing or advertising, but if you have a more structured way of leaning into the referrals, so to speak, like is there a outreach to your existing customers? Like, hey, do you know someone, that could benefit from our services? Like that could be a thing that you do on a regular basis to try and bring in that flow of people. Another thing you could try is just start, if I was starting here and the referrals thing felt like it was pretty good, you could look at digital advertising, but I think you'd want to look and make sure that your audience is someone who would be receptive to that. I think like, I think there are some industries where like, they're not going to be on LinkedIn every day, like, and be able to see a LinkedIn ad.
Well, and you can play into the strength of that referral network by going into associated industries too. Like bookkeeping is related to accounting. So you could talk to CPAs even. Yeah. You could talk to Chamber of Commerce. You could talk to business development people, even sales people, and see if there's a way to kind of nudge your way and your message into other organizations to see if they might need, because everybody needs bookkeeping. Yeah. Unless they've got it on staff or something like that. Yeah. But that's fun.
And having a nice, like you were saying, like a nice front door offer that's really easy to refer to. Like I'm thinking like, oh, we help set up your books to hand off to your tax guy. Mm-hmm. Like, mm-hmm. Maybe again, going back to niching. Yep. We help growing creative professionals get their books ready to hand off to their tax guy for the first time. It's like, okay, your audience is really specific, and then you've got that one thing in the front door, and then they realize, oh shoot, it's so easy to have somebody else do this. Yeah. And so then you have an ongoing offer that's like immediately fed into. And so being able to, and then again, coming back to, that makes it really easily referable, because everybody's talking about, oh, this person got my taxes or got my books ready to hand over to a tax person. And that's what they talk about.
Yeah.
That's your front door offer.
Yeah.
So that gets people in the door, and it's very easily referable and easy to talk about.
And maybe if it's a small bookkeeping firm, they need to do a little bit of educating, because maybe they're a potential new market for them is people who don't have bookkeeping.
Yeah.
And they're like, here's how easy it is. You just email the receipts to us.
Yeah.
Or we'll just handle all this. Or you could use like techniques around like the real simple things that just sound like, oh gosh, that sounds, if only somebody could just take care of X, whatever that is.
I don't know. You probably both have talked to plenty of like small business owners or solopreneurs and how much headaches they have around that. And that a lot of them just try and grind it out because it doesn't seem like seems easy enough.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You can get in trouble too. Like if you don't know exactly what you're doing, you can get in trouble. So you might be able to play on that a little bit too, and just like play on the peace of mind. Peace of mind
factor
is huge part of it.
When we handed off our bookkeeping and our taxes, like that we felt like we made it to the next level. But like the peace of mind that came with that, and so it's like, wow, this is nice.
Yeah.
I'm living.
Donna,
man.
you're a real one.
Yeah. Like it's the end of March. I've got like 2 weeks to submit all this stuff, and I'm getting out shoe boxes and
this is a hypothetical.
I've heard stories.
I thought you were saying currently, presently, right now. It's the end of March, and I was like,
no, it's more like that. Just like, all right, this panic. And I'm thinking specifically, you mentioned like creative professionals, and I know a few, and I know that that's not something they do every day, and that's the last thing they want to do. So sometimes that gets put to the last minute, and then you're scrambly and everything, and it's painful. Like no one looks at that and go, oh boy, I get to dig in and figure out what I need to be doing and get everything in order.
No thanks.
Play off that pain.
Yep.
That's where you go.
Yeah.
Okay, let's time for another question. This Jill. All right.
Our brand is so outdated, but now is not the time for us to do a massive rebrand. What are some small things we can do to give us an upgrade without overhauling everything? Eric.
This sounds
all
like
you.
Yes, I have dealt with this with a few clients, so I know a little bit about this. I think there's a lot of elements to your brand, right? It's not just your logo. It's not just one or two pieces of what's out there, for sure. And so there's ways to refine it. Hopefully you've got something that is flexible enough to where you can assign other art elements or design elements along with it, just kind of incrementally. So you never want to like go in and make some big dramatic change with everything. Even if you have the same logo, you don't want to like come in with a brand new color scheme. I would say, so I'm answering it two different ways, but I think the approach should be, for one, try to do things incrementally so that you maintain a lot of the equity of your existing brand. Then start to upgrade the ancillary items around it. I would say typography. If you've already got a typography system in place, you might want to keep that pretty solid, because your brand typography was engineered to work with a certain type of typography, and I would not touch that stuff. You could start to work a little bit with the color, but messing around with color, you start to bring in different emotions that are associated with your brand, and I would be very careful about changing things up too dramatically with your color system. An easy thing that could help you upgrade or change or shift is working with photography. If you use a lot of photography, there's a way to change the style of the photography that does a pretty good job of moving it. Maybe you want to upgrade in terms of like, I want to look a little bit more cutting edge. Maybe your brand still exists, but you then upgrade your photography to look very cutting edge, or you introduce more people to make it look more personable or something like that. those are nice, subtle ways that don't shift and ruin the equity that you've already established with your brand. But I would also look at like, why are you changing it? You know, look at the intention behind what that means and make sure that it's aligned with your business goals. Are your business goals changing? Then you need to shift those other elements to kind of work towards whatever that new business goal or that refined business goal is, because that's should align with the intention of what you're trying to do first and foremost. So I guess I've answered your question back to front. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like you should start with your business goals. Why are you changing your brand or want to change your brand?
I'm curious about the question though. Could you read it again? Because I think there's something in there.
Our brand is so outdated, but now is not the time for us to do a massive rebrand. What are some small things we can do to give us an upgrade without overhauling everything? So it sounds like it's just purely that things are super outdated.
Outdated, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, is it truly outdated, or you're bored with it? Like you said, when you're super close to it, I think that's an interesting angle to look at. And there are outdated things. There's really outdated things. I mean, as you're talking, I'm thinking a lot about how, well, I'm a big, I love the NHL. I love hockey, but one of the things, one aspects I really love about it is not necessarily what happens on the ice. I love how teams are put together and general managers deal to try and put the best thing out there. And one thing that you hear a lot in circles is there's different philosophies on how you go about managing a team. Some teams will try and like completely tank and get as many draft picks as they can, and they're bad for a long time, and they call it a rebuild. Yeah, the San Jose Sharks are in the middle of that right now. Yeah,
real bad.
But there's a lot of pain, and it's a long process. I would say that's the equivalent to like a rebrand. Like you're gonna basically like take everything you know and scrap it and start over. It's painful, it's long, it's expensive. The pain probably comes from the expense, but it's still, there's a lot there. And it's probably not the best it's definitely not the best if you're doing it all yourself. That's something where you call in big guns to help you with that kind of stuff. As you're talking about this, I feel like it's more in line with when they talk about rebuilding on the fly. Like they're finding little pieces to help supplement and kind of finding pain points and addressing them. And, you know, if you look at it over a 3-year period, the team's completely different, but they didn't like to burn it down and start over. So I think that's what we're talking about here is like trying to identify items that feel the most dated maybe, and what's the most pain points. And then, but you're talking about trying to find new ways to put a new spin on it too, right? So if you've got let's say you've got a commercial that was filmed like 8 years ago, and it like you can tell because of the clothes that are wearing. Like maybe that's a good spot to. The pain point is that looks most outdated. Let's put some budget to refilming that one, and then as we do that, maybe there's some other little things that we can do with our brand that we can take from that and apply to the next thing. So maybe it's a sales sheet or something like that, but you've established some.
I think there's an audit process that should take place for sure. And this might be something where you want to bring in a professional and just, you know, don't spend a lot of money, but if you could afford just having an extra set of eyes or even an existing customer base, maybe to talk to you about it. Like, here's what we see. Here's what really bothers us. We know you're not going to go in and change your whole logo, but maybe there's a drop shadow or something like funky on the art that you could just kind of remove or clean up a little bit, or like visuals, like, oh, we're constantly on TV with this commercial. That's what everybody sees. Okay, well then maybe start there, you know, like pick your battles, I guess, right? Like be strategic.
It's not an easy thing to do.
No.
Right? It's like, I don't know, we try and do it. We've done it with a few clients. I've done it on a couple places where I help out, like, you know, volunteer my time and everything. And it's not it is very tempting to just burn it all down and try and start over, but that's not a reality.
Well, there's a re-education process that takes place after you burn it all down and rebuild it again. Then there's the process of like, no, this is really us again. No, see, we're the same. group,
Yeah.
that's painful. So
Like you said, rebuilding takes a long time.
And I think the other thing we should say, like if we're doing this like rebuilding on the fly type idea, that you're really close to it, you're gonna be like, well, that doesn't match this or anything like that. But like if you're talking about subtle details, which is what I think we're talking about, is like making subtle changes, people aren't going to notice those subtle changes. And but if you look at it from this point in time to this point in time, ideally, if you've been doing the work and making those incremental things, you will see the difference over that time.
I have an example in my head.
Yeah.
You guys use that emergency, the drink stuff. It was always shocking to me to see how, from a design standpoint, like that was not really well-designed packaging. It just, like the style of it was very old and outdated and not really progressive. Great product though.
Yeah.
In the back of my head, I imagined they have a warehouse filled with 18 million little tiny packets that were printed very cheaply, back in 1975, that they're just working their way through.
Yeah.
But I think that they've done a good job of rebranding and refining without probably spending a whole ton of money on the actual design and logo and stuff, because there's an equity built in that people kind of connect with. Oh, this is that terrible looking packet that really helps me feel a lot better, So there's something that's valuable that they've kept, yet they have refined it. And I can see that, there's TV commercials now and everything. Whereas before it looked kind of like, is this really safe? Like, is this, I'm not quite sure. So.
Yeah, it's a continual refinement, not a
like it didn't just come
big
out
bold splash. You're not going for a big bold splash.
That was an interesting journey to watch that brand make, and still maybe they're still on the journey. I don't know.
I have a question, a design question then.
Yeah.
To kind of like piggyback on this.
Yeah.
The recent like subtle rebrands that don't feel like real full rebrands. I'm thinking Johnson & Johnson, Walmart. They're like these subtlest changes. And it's like, did you rebrand? And they like make this whole big thing about like rebranding. Is it actually a rebrand, or is it just kind of like, oh, we're doing a refresh? What is this? How would you define it as a designer?
From my perspective is that those brands are so gigantic and historic that they really don't want to take the massive risk to like redo the brand. And so their efforts in rebranding are more refining their own brand so that they maintain the equity, maintain the audience, don't lose people.
Yeah.
Like I think one of the worst examples that we've seen in the recent past is the Jaguar rebrand, which I don't know if you're familiar with what they've done with Jaguar, but it's historically it's going to go down in history as one of the worst rebrands ever, because they not only shifted their whole visual style of what they had, but they threw away the entire historic passion behind that brand. I mean, Jaguar goes back, it's part of British history, people love that brand. And then they came out and they're like, yeah, we're forgetting all those people that bought our cars for the last 50 years. And we're just going for this 20-something club going young community who probably honestly are not, most people who drive Jaguars are not young. They're older people. So there was a real misstep there. And I think their brand, where they thought that they were going to bring in a new audience by rebranding. And I think, that's a perfect example of what you don't want to do with a brand like Walmart. And the fact that they completely just discounted the entire history of that brand,
threw it away,
was unbelievable. That they could just like wipe the slate clean and say, we're forgetting everything about the legacy of this brand. When you have a legacy like that, it's just unbelievable to be able to see them. And they hyped it up so much too. They pre-introduced the introduction, building up this hype and building up this, everybody's getting excited about this new brand. It's come, wait till you see, and all this anticipation was built in. And then what they delivered was even more up. It compounded the negative effect of this rebrand by building it up like that. They just came across as being so arrogant. Mike, you've got a stat for us.
A stat here. 49 Jaguars were purchased across Europe in April of 2025. 49 across the whole continent. Compared to the year before, that's a 97.5 drop in year-over-year sales.
Wow. Like I said, historic.
That's insane.
Yeah. Look it up. That's a great example of don't do this.
Yeah.
So coming back to the question of our stuff is outdated. What do we do now? This is not something, the subtle changes that you're seeing in bigger brands, it's not going to work the same for you. Don't try to do it.
I think if you want to make small refinements to it, that's probably fine. You're not going to lose an audience based on that. It's actually
a Jaguar.
Yeah, you're not going to pull a Jaguar.
Yeah.
But I think that, anytime you rebrand, you're taking a risk.
Yeah.
You've got to re-educate your audience on what you're doing and let them know that it's okay. Like we're not, the only thing we're changing is we're just trying to update and become, we're progressive. We're more, using better technology now or something like that. There needs to build a story around that for sure. But I think if you just want to refine things just a little bit, look at what that ROI is. Does it cost a lot to do? Do you have to change signage? Do you have to change things to do that? Yeah. Is it worth it then? Maybe just preserve that cash for when you want to do a big rebrand.
Good thought.
Here she goes.
Oh my gosh, that was so far off.
So this has been a lot of fun, and what we wanted to do, because we have so many great questions that we've submitted, we wanted to break this episode up into 2 different episodes. So stay tuned for the next episode. We're going to keep diving into the design, messaging, and strategy questions that we have, and hopefully answer some of the questions you have out there that's stuck in your brain. Maybe it'll unlock some of them for you. So until next time, thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. For more information and other episodes, subscribe to the Marketing Team of One podcast on YouTube, Apple, or Spotify podcast networks. You can also chat with us on the r/Marketing Team of One subreddit or visit marketingteamofone.com to learn more.